What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Going for Two with, well, I guess it's just me here today, going for two with Hunter 2. So, yeah, bye week. Let's have some fun. We have, I believe, 3 guests today, which is pretty fun. Gonna kind of shake it up there. No, we've only had 1 guest ever, but we'll see what's happening. For those who don't know, Jack and Courtney got married. Congrats to the Taylors. Yeah, they're in Mexico right now, and that brings me to Jack's opening, which, I have to do now, which is the first. I think I'm going to go for a Thursday morning advice here and say, don't drink the water. Okay. Normally there would be someone here to bounce that off of me, but, we take those. Hope y'all like that Thursday morning, I guess, advice. But let's get into our first guest. Welcome to the show, Cam Black.
So, man, thanks for having me.
Nice to have you. So, you run the Unofficial Hail State account. Yeah, tell us a little bit about who you are. I mean, I know, you run that account and everything. I've seen you've been posting for years, so just tell everyone about you. I'm sure they already know.
Yeah, so not a lot of people know my real name, which is Cam Black. A lot of people call me Unofficial. It's kind of like
I call you Unofficial.
Yeah, that's on the message boards. That's what most people call me on there. But yeah, man, I've been a Mississippi State fan my whole life. Mm-hmm. A lot of my family has gone to State. The other half of my family went to Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. So it's a family rivalry.
The little house divided door sign.
Yeah, for sure. Especially during the holidays when everyone has to be under one roof. But yeah, so, growing up, everything was, you got to know your stats, you got to know your players, you got to know your history. And I just engulfed myself with a cowbell in order to argue with my cousins. And never looked back since. But in 2015, I was trying to figure out a way to I wanted to know more and more about other sports besides football, which is the main topic, right?
Yeah.
I never really found it, and decided, you know what, I'm pretty good at social media, so I'm gonna dabble in it, and kind of made an account where it doesn't just focus on football or baseball or basketball, which is the big 3, right?
Yeah.
So I try to show love to every athlete at Mississippi State, and that's what I've been doing ever since.
Yeah, that's something that when we started in, I guess it was 2020, we wanted to focus on everything, but the other athletics kind of went down during that time. So we never really did many basketball podcasts. I think we did one, and they got eliminated, and then we went on to baseball.
Right.
So that was a little bit of a weirdness of when we started this, but I mean that's awesome what you do. You being good at social media is the opposite of us. But yeah. Quick shout out, the Bellsmith. I've seen on your page. He's a friend of you. He's also a friend of us. He was our first sponsor. He got us a sick custom cowbell. Great guy. Just wanted to throw that out there. We haven't given a Bellsmith plug in a while, but great stuff and everything. So yeah. And I guess with that.
Oh yeah, we actually have a good giveaway coming out for the Georgia game. That's actually on my page. That's going to include one of the Bellsmith's bells.
His bells are so cool.
Be on the lookout. Oh
I
yeah.
have 3 of them.
So do I.
Yeah, but I guess let's go ahead and start. We're going to start with our recap of notable games last week. And I didn't watch all of these, but I kept up with a good few of them. And the first one is Clemson over Syracuse, 27-21. This was, other than Notre Dame, and I guess now South Carolina is a big opponent, Clemson's last test of the year. Because no one's going to come from the Coastal and beat them. And, I mean, if they can get through undefeated, they have a playoff spot. So that was a really big win for them. Kind of an ugly win. It was sad to see Garrett Schrader not succeed at the end. But, stuff happens.
Yeah.
But the next game, LSU over Ole Miss, the frauds are gone. LSU wins 45-20. Yeah, Brian Kelly may be a pretty good coach. That's pretty much my takeaway.
Yeah. At the beginning of the year, we thought, is it like there's a fake accent can only get you so far
Yeah, and
in the South, and you got to win.
yeah, and I think this win will do a lot for him. And I know LSU historically owns Ole Miss in Baton Rouge, and even not in Baton Rouge, but that was Ole Miss number 7 going into LSU and just getting destroyed. Ole Miss didn't score a touchdown in the second half, which I'm not even sure if they scored a point, to be honest. But yeah, that game happened. Glad to see that one. LSU's kind of terrifying now. I mean, there's a game against Bama coming up at Baton Rouge. That one's a little weird now.
They're always scary. They're always scary in Death Valley.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what LSU team's going to show up. I actually watched this game. This one was one of the ones I wanted to watch over the weekend. I do my due diligence when it comes to opponents, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Egg Bowl, especially with my family history. So
Yeah.
I've been scouting Ole Miss. I think I pay attention to them as much as I do State.
I've kind of paid attention to them more than State this year.
Yeah, exactly.
I've watched them so much.
They played really good in the first half. LSU did not, and then it just turned around and blew them out of the water.
I mean,
and
that's exactly
I loved
what
every
happened
second
when
of
we
it.
played in Baton Rouge. I mean, we were killing them the first 3 quarters, and then just something happens. And if that's the Jaden Daniels that LSU gets for the rest of the season, I mean, tell me a team that's going to beat that. I mean, he's really good right now. And
Yeah, that Alabama game's going to be the one to watch.
Yeah, I cannot wait for that. So next, we have Oregon over UCLA. Yeah, the Conference of Cannibals continues. So now you have 3 one-loss teams. The one question is,
Yeah, they
who's
were
gonna
just
win the
beating each other
Pac-12?
out there.
Like, that's the only
Yeah,
question.
it's up for grabs right now, for sure.
I mean, the Pac-12 looks really, really good right now, but dang, they just kill each other. And yeah, Bo Nix is really, really good this year. I don't. You probably don't know this, but I have a weird relationship with Bo Nix. So it started out as like we were kind of joking about like, oh, Bo Nix sucks, and then somehow throughout it, I ended up liking Bo Nix, and now I defend Bo Nix. So I don't know what happened. I don't know. I just kept on watching.
He won you over.
He did. I will say Bo Nix at home. If there's ever a pick, I will pick Bo Nix at home just because he's insane. Like, there's not a weirder player in college football.
Yeah, I'm happy for him. I'm glad that he got out of his past situation. It's like one of those guys that gets out of a bad relationship. You kind of root for him a little bit. So, we're rooting for you from the the other side of the country. But
Yeah, I mean, I love seeing them succeed at Oregon, proving the doubters wrong, I guess, kinda. But yeah, it's really good for Oregon. They look like a really good team right now, with their only loss being like a lot to nothing against Georgia at the beginning of the year in Atlanta, the year after they won their first national championship. So I mean that loss kind of gets swept under, in my opinion, by the playoff committee.
yeah, it should.
Next game, South Carolina over Texas A&M, Beamer Ball. That's pretty much it. A&M is now imploding. Jimbo suspended 4 players for smoking pot in the locker room before this game.
There's a lot going on there, man.
Yeah. That's.
It's not fun in Aggie land.
I always envisioned the downfall of Jimbo Fisher to be more fun than this. But this is kind of sad.
Yeah.
And the one thing I don't understand with his buyout, and people like, oh, they can't afford his buyout, is, I mean, you still have to pay him all that money. I mean, or do you think he's going to get better than this? You're going to fire him eventually. Like,
Right.
you still have to pay him the $10 million next year. It's not like...
And they'll figure out the money.
Yeah, like, I mean, have you seen gas
It's a
prices
cult
right
out
now?
there. They're gonna figure it
they
out.
have the
Yeah.
money.
Exactly.
Next game, Oklahoma State over Texas. Texas may not be great. Quinn Ewers, I don't understand Texas right now. Steve Sarkisian may not be great, but you can't do anything to Sark because he got Arch. So Texas is in a weird position. You better hope it turns around.
It's gonna get ugly before it gets better.
See, I thought last year would be the ugly.
You would think,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I have a feeling it's gonna get. I think it's gonna get better for them, and then they're gonna join the SEC, and it's gonna get a little worse. It's gonna be up and down roller coaster ride for all Texas.
Yeah. And I guess that leads us perfectly into the best team in Texas is TCU, and they beat Kansas
Yeah,
State.
who saw that coming?
38-28. This is a weird season for them. I believe they have knocked out 5 starting quarterbacks. It's either 5 or 4 starting quarterbacks out of the game, and then make stupid comebacks. But yeah, TCU, if they run the table, that's a playoff team, which is really, really weird. I don't think anyone would have thought that before the season.
Yeah, whoever's writing the book or the movie script over there is going to make a lot of money one day. It's really weird that TCU's the best team in Texas right now,
Like,
and they don't even spend that much
and
compared to the other
sure
ones.
who the second best team in Texas is. Like,
Yeah,
I guess A&M. I get maybe I don't know, but that's it for the notable games. Now we're gonna get into our Bama review, and one of the things I was excited for bringing Cam on was having someone else's point of view of Mississippi State on this podcast, because me and Jack we started this in 2020. And we've watched all of the Mike Leach stuff. We've talked about all the Mike Leach stuff every week. So our opinions have kind of formed together. So neither of us brings like anything new to the table or anything. It's just kind of like, let's wait and see. We're sitting in our opinions. But I'm really excited to see your opinions on this season, this game, and everything.
yeah. I mean, it was an exciting game to watch in the beginning, and then it just got sad.
Yeah, I was at a wedding that was like, it was just happiness during this. So I felt nothing about this game. I've never
wish I had been at the
appreciated
wedding.
a fall wedding more than this one.
You picked a decent weekend to do it.
Yeah, thanks, Jack.
Yeah, he picked a good one to not have to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I think he might have done that on purpose.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, it was a game for the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for the first quarter. And then the second quarter, it was almost like... It got to the point where after the first penalty flag was thrown, from then on, we played soft on defense. Like, there were some guys that were still pushing hard. Obviously, you're going to play hard, but it was almost to the point where it was like, there was a fear that I don't want to get flagged.
Yeah.
So there was blown coverages. We stopped getting to the quarterback. Like, there was a whole implosion within ourselves on defense.
Mm-hmm. And I guess there's one thing. If there's a quarterback that you would take against our defense in college football, heck, like almost in football, it's Bryce Young. With his elusiveness, his big playability. I mean, him against a team that isn't really good at getting the quarterback down, and that sends a lot of pressure. I mean, there's going to be deep throws available, and I mean, if there's a quarterback to pick apart this defense, it would be him.
Right. And that's exactly what happened.
For him. And I mean, even
Yeah,
with
that's
that,
exactly what happened.
We outgained them. I did see like the game cast at the beginning. We had 2 drives into like almost the red zone, right? And like the first quarter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It seemed like our offense was clicking. They were moving the ball down the field. Special teams, it's a roller coaster ride with them, obviously.
That's kind of how it started last year against Alabama. Like we had that first drive, and then Will throws that duck that gets intercepted, but like we moved it. It was like 6 positive plays in a row, And then I think the next drive we went down and missed a field goal. And then after, like it's almost like the same game except Bama didn't score 60 this time.
Right, which I was super excited about.
Mhm.
Our defense played fantastic at the beginning, and I felt like, when we didn't score on the first drive, and everyone's hyping up Bryce Young coming out on the field, I was like, oh no, here we go again. 2 years in a row. This is when it starts, right? And we held them. Fourth down, they punted it back to us, and I'm like, oh wow, like we have a chance here. And it just kind of offense started to slow down a little bit. I think that first drive we utilized our running backs, and then
Yeah,
it
I
was
think there
like
was
we
like two good running plays on that one, or maybe it was like the second
No,
drive. Yeah, it was the first drive was I guess 3 and out, and then the second drive was a good drive. Yeah.
yeah, that second drive it was like we were. Yeah, I don't know. That first quarter we were utilizing our running backs, and then after that it was like they didn't exist.
We had 7 runs on that first drive. It was a 13-play drive, and overall, we had 25 carries, and 5
Yeah.
of those were Will Rogers sacks. So 7 of
Yeah.
the 20 carries came in that first drive, second drive, but it's whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and
it's
we have
really
to we need to utilize that in
Mhm.
order to get those big plays downfield to open the defense up, keep them honest. We're gonna have to utilize our running backs
Yeah,
more,
and-
even if it's a pass out of the backfield, something.
Yeah, and that was one of the weird things I saw in this. Well, at least like when I went and like looked in the stats after this game, we only targeted our running backs out of the backfield 7 times in our passing game, and I know okay that's still a pass. But that's the extension of the run play. Those are basically just outside handoffs at that point, and for
Right.
there to only be 7 of those when against Arkansas or A&M we had around 14. That's a and it may have been because Dylan Johnson was out and we were playing with Marks with kind of a lingering injury, but that was just really weird to see. I mean, and it's not like we were dinking and dunking in this game. Will had his 3rd highest average depth of target of his career, but he also had his lowest completion percentage of his career. So it's just kind of it's weird.
Yeah, it was a lot of it. Marks went out with a bloody nose.
Mm-hmm.
He got hands to the face. He came out, and then when Simeon Price came in, I was like, okay, young man's time to shine. And it was like I don't know if Coach Leach just doesn't trust him yet, or what the problem was. But I mean, he was out there, but he really wasn't out there.
Yeah.
Wasn't utilized at all. We were thrown into double coverage. There was a bunch of passes that were about to be picked off. It was a little I don't know, hard to watch,
Mm-hmm.
kind of confusing.
Yeah. I heard that Eli Ricks arrived in this game for Alabama. Transfer out of LSU. Hadn't really played at Alabama. Yeah, he comes out and has the best game of maybe his career against State. So that sounds right.
Yeah, and there was one play towards the end zone that was like just a big. It was on that, I believe it was that second drive, where we had some chances in the red zone before we missed the field goal, and yeah, he showed up and balled out,
Yeah.
and it couldn't have come at a worse time for us.
Everyone's been kind of waiting on that because, I mean, people say he was overrated at LSU, but I mean, he was good. Like he was no slouch. I mean, he was
Yeah, if you're
pretty
coming
good.
to Alabama and starting, you're pretty good.
Like LSU was just a little weird that year. Everyone kind of sucked, but yeah, it's basically
Yeah.
what I got. Do you have anything else on this game?
I think just the biggest stat that pokes out at me is that we held Alabama to only 29 rushing yards, which
Yeah.
I think which is great for our defense to pivot after that massive game from Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
I think Arnett's defense, showed up and actually came prepared for this game. Now, we couldn't get to the quarterback, which, when you give him a minute and a half in the pocket to just basically play backyard football the whole time.
Which
I
is
mean-
what Bryce Young does. He plays
Right.
backyard football regularly in front of hundreds of thousands of people. So
Yeah. A
love
lot
that
bigger
guy.
games than whatever I played.
Yeah. I mean,
But 29 rushing yards, I mean, if you had told me that we were going to only hold Alabama to 29 rushing yards and that they were only going to score 30 points, I would say, wow, okay, like that was a good game.
we doubled.
But after
we doubled
watching
Alabama
it,
in rushing.
yeah. Yeah, and we didn't even hand the ball off that much. So,
It's really weird.
yeah, it's a weird stat that pokes out, but hopefully if we can keep that type of defense moving forward, I think it's gonna show problems and poke holes in the offense of Ole Miss and countless others. So
Yeah, and one thing on running the ball more, in prior years, people screamed "run the ball," but our offensive line was horrible at run blocking. Like people thought
Yes.
that they were just, oh, it's just that these are run blocking guys, and they'll be good at run blocking. They weren't. They were worse. Like they weren't good. They didn't move people off the ball in 2020. In 2021, towards the end of the year when Cole Smith got in there, they did. But this year, this offensive line, you can get behind them and run the dang ball. Doesn't matter how many people are in the box. I mean, zone is made so you have a numbers advantage if your quarterback will pull it, which I know is in the playbook because he can do it. Every offense that runs zone, the quarterback can pull it. I've been screaming this. I just want to see Will pull it one time.
yeah,
A D end has never stepped out to contain him. I promise.
I think it was either I forgot which reporter it was that asked this question. It may have been Steve Robertson. I don't really remember, but somebody asked Coach Leach, "Hey, like, does Will have is he okay to like pull it and run?" And Coach Leach was like, "Yeah, I mean, he has the okay to do it. He just doesn't do it." I don't know. Maybe it needs to be more embedded into his brain. Maybe Nick Fitzgerald needs to give him a call and be like, "Hey, man, you got legs, you can do it." But
I've been saying for 2 years, I just want to see Will pull it when we run zone, because that changes the numbers. That crashing DN on the backside doesn't do it, and I know how it works because we leave the backside guy unblocked, and that's how zone works.
yeah, exactly.
Been screaming it for 2 years. I just want to see him pull it so we can run against 6-man boxes. So yeah, 6, 7-man boxes. It doesn't matter. In high school, we just ran it into our offensive line for 2 yards to carry every play, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's not like I was playing. Okay, so with that over, we're kind of gonna move into like more of a state of Mississippi State slash kind of. I'll do a little bit of college football playoff talk just because this year it is so unique compared to other years.
It is.
Because it seems like honestly there's 10 teams that could be there at the end, and there may be more teams that could be there at the end, like realistically, if stuff goes correctly. But yeah, I'm gonna let you kind of give us your state of Mississippi State. I mean, I've given mine on this podcast a lot. I just kind of want to hear your opinion.
Yeah, so like, I don't know, when you asked me, hey, this is kind of what I wanted to talk about, it made me sit in my car and think for a second. And I put together a formula, if you will, of how can we succeed, right? Like take away who the coach is, take away who the quarterback is, how many defensive players are going to get drafted, things like that. Let's detach ourselves from fandom, right, and kind of give an overlook of what is it going to take for Mississippi State to take the next step, right? Because we're bouncing in and out of the top 25 every year. We're kind of like we're getting some transfers, people that are not unhappy at Georgia, or people that are unhappy at Alabama, things. Exactly. And how can we actually get those guys to choose us in the beginning, and develop under us and actually progress, right? And our team get better. It's kind of, I don't know, something I've been contemplating, right? So for me, it starts with grassroots, right? It starts with you have to win within your state first.
Yeah.
You need to win your state, right? Like there was that whole hashtag, that whole thing that for years, especially when Dan Mullen was here, it was like, this is our state, right? And all of that whole thing. And I think that that's correct. You got to win the state 1st, which starts with the Egg Bowl, right? It starts with if you win your games within the state every year in and year out, you're the number one choice if people want to stay at home,
Yeah.
right? So your 4 and 5 stars that are here in the state of Mississippi, they're going to choose you every time. So win the Egg Bowl every year, and then you're going to own the state in recruiting. Once you own the state in recruiting, then you're going to start seeing consistent wins, right?
Yeah.
When you start seeing those,
we won't be going into games like against Kentucky and then just like it happening to be a toss up every year.
right?
Like,
or a guy go down and you're relying on a 3-star running back, or whatever. Your backups are better. The young guys are progressing, are going to be better. The whole thing's going to be better. You'll start seeing 8 to 9 win seasons, and that becoming the norm, which is the idea. Because our norm right now is 7 and 5, and we're hoping for an 8 and 4. And it all comes down to the Egg Bowl at the end. We need to have that 8 and 4 year as a solidified. That's a normal season.
Yeah.
Now let's progress from there.
Yeah, a lot of people, their take is Mississippi State's going to be the program that puts up like the 8 and 4, 9 and 3, 8 and 4, 9 and 3, and then you have a big year. But I mean, keeping on going 7 and 5, 7 and 5, 7 and 5. I mean that. I don't think that the build-up is going to be to a 10-win season. I guess a 10-win season would be kind of the ceiling on something like that. If you're jumping from the 7 and 5. So our normal right now needs to be improved, of course, but I feel like that's kind of like very important when you look at like how it's supposed to work. You build up for 3 years, but I mean building up 3 years at 7 and 5 doesn't do anything. But 8 and 4 is a much different season than a 7 and 5, like in people's eyes.
It's a better bowl game. You get better time slots, so you're playing in front of obviously when you're winning all the time, brings more fans to the stadium, right?
You may have a
more
winning
fans to the
record
stadium.
in the SEC.
Exactly. Yeah. No. You start inching up in the SEC West, especially once.
When was our last year?
However, they shift the Texas and Oklahoma.
Was it 2014?
Oh God. Was it that? Yeah. I guess it would be that long ago.
I mean, we've gone 4 and 4 at we went 4 and 4 in 18.
Yeah. I'm tired of that, right?
Yeah. 4
so
and 4
we gotta fix that. We gotta fix that. Yeah. Like I'm tired of going to these non-Florida bowls every year, and
What you talking about? You don't like the Liberty Bowl?
No, I do not. God, no. But yeah, so like, when you get those better seasons, you're gonna have better recruiting. When you have better recruiting, you're gonna get highly ranked. You get highly ranked. It's a snowball effect in a positive direction, and that's how you become a college football playoff contender, is by starting out with grassroots first, and then progressing on.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, and I've kind of never had that take on it. With everything that's kind of changed around, transfer portal and everything, I guess I've kind of been kind of like the new thinking of it, where it's like, okay, just go get the guys, have your system that works. But I mean, you look at the teams that have won, it's teams that own their states. And I know Mississippi's a little bit different because we're a small state with 2 Power 5 schools in it, and Alabama, LSU, and Auburn reaching in. But it does make sense that owning your own state is very important.
I would think so. Just from like a
The only
when
thing is
kids
like
are growing
how
up,
differing Ole Miss and State are. Like
they are.
like that's the only thing that I would think of that would make it a little bit weird. Like in like in state kids' hearts is like, if you want to go to Ole Miss, I mean, you're going to Ole Miss because it's vastly different than Mississippi State. And Mississippi State the same. It's vastly different than Ole Miss. And I could see that as being kind of okay, the kids know where they're going to go. But I mean, if that was the case, no one would recruit anyone, so it must not matter that much.
It's true, and LSU and Alabama wouldn't be able to reach in and pick off our highly ranked kids.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm a firm believer in you got to win the state first before you can, win the country, whether it's in recruiting or the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Because kids from Georgia are picking Georgia over Georgia Tech. They're picking staying at home and playing for their state instead of going to, out to Oregon or going to Texas or going to anyone else. But own the state, and then you can start reaching into other states and actually having a consistently ranked team program that can offer you, better play time and a better system and more showtime for scouts.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. Yeah. That pretty much makes sense in my mind. So I guess let's get to the second part of this, and I guess kind of talk about how intriguing the college football playoff is this year. I'll kind of steer this one. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the teams that have a realistic shot at it. Number 1, Clemson. Number 2, TCU. Number 3, Michigan. Number 4, Ohio State. This is nuts. Number 5, Oregon. USC still has a chance. Number 7, UCLA still has a chance. I mean, those are all one-loss teams. Georgia still has a chance. So right now we're at 8. Tennessee very much has a chance. And then Alabama has a chance. That's 10 teams that could be very deserving of it. And there are a few other teams like LSU that have slipped up that I know those losses are going to be too much. But, I mean, if they run and then win the SEC, I mean, you can throw away the Florida State loss. That one was weird in the first game of the year. And then losing to Tennessee. I mean, it could go far on like what teams still really have a chance. I wish playoffs were expanded this year. It'd be so cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Except Tulane,
especially some of these teams that never get to play each other,
which would be weird.
Tulane.
They would be in it, which is a little weird. And Ross Dellinger put out the like what it would look like, and it would be Tulane versus Georgia right now. So a team that got beat by Southern Miss playing Georgia. That may need to be looked at a little bit more.
Yeah, there needs to be a better algorithm of what they're considering.
Yeah, maybe like some prerequisites, like didn't lose to Southern Miss. But yeah. College football playoffs are weird. I know we have a question coming up soon, our Instagram questions, that we can kind of give our predictions on that. But yeah, that's it for the Alabama review. That's kind of it for like the state of Mississippi State. So I guess it's time to get into. It's me and Jack's favorite segment of the show. It's where we don't have to try to come up with stuff. We just say answers. It's Instagram questions time. And I'll start, and I mean, if you want to answer some of these, you can. A few of these are kind of tailored, so I'll do them. A few of them, you just hop in whenever, kind of like we did on the.
Roll with it, man. I like it.
Okay, from Nathan Taylor, which is Jack's uncle. What's it like carrying someone else as a podcast co-host? I mean, after 2 years, you get pretty much used to it. So, yeah. Jack has the feel good carrying me. Next, from John Merritt Howard. How do I stop betting Steelers Super Bowl every week? My family is worried. Um, yeah, you pretty much need help. Keeping on doing that. Uh, I don't. I know for a fact he started Kenny Pickett in his fantasy league last week and lost because of a late interception. He doesn't even like the team that much, and he keeps on betting on them.
Die-hard fan right there.
Yeah, sadly. Brooks Taylor, does LSU seem to have gotten it together? Yeah, I think I don't really have evidence for this, but I think this may be a Brian Kelly thing to do. Is this start out kind of slow and then end up being like a really good team? Like it's like every year they end up in the top 10. And I mean they'll have like one stupid loss. But this year they kind of have two stupid losses. Brian Kelly.
It's like he wanted to ease everyone into winning.
Another one from Brooks Taylor. Is Tennessee the best in the country right now? Like some are saying. I kind of want to hear your take on this. They have the best win in the country, but is that enough?
I think from a talent standpoint, I'd say Ohio State is a better team.
Yeah.
But then you have the question of with tennis with Ohio State, with Georgia. It's always a question of, well, who have they played? Same thing with Alabama over the years. It's like they're always going to be ranked number one because they don't play anybody, right? Until they start playing SEC teams. But I think if you're looking at that side of the argument, Tennessee should be ranked number one. They just beat a top 3 team.
Yeah, and I don't think I don't think Georgia has been. I mean, other than the Oregon win, I don't think that they've been very impressive this year. They had that scare of a game against Mizzou.
Against Missouri.
And then they had that weird game against Kent State where Kent State stayed in it. And I mean, I have Tennessee over Georgia right now. And I mean, if I say that, that means they're either 1 or 2, and I'm not sure that they're 2. So, next question. I think this one's for both of us. How do you handle being niche micro celebrities? Have you ever been recognized in person? You have an answer for that
Are
one?
you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh man. Well,
It's
I haven't really.
It's from our good listener Luke Meyer.
I guess no one really knows me personally, besides like, I don't know, the people that I've actually.
I mean, you post like the shirtless
Done
pictures
business with.
on unofficial sometimes. So, I mean,
It's from a different life, man. No, when I used to have my own business, which was like me myself. That was a long time ago, but I've had that happen to me before from like another account that was like my own personal business account, but never from the Mississippi State account. No.
yeah, gotta say, not same. One time, me and Jack, we were going to pick up our tickets for a super regional, and then Luke Meyer was in there giving us our tickets at the counter, and he said, do you have Instagram to Jack? And Jack was like, yeah. And then he was like, wait, do y'all have like a podcast? And then we were very confused. We didn't exchange names or anything. He just was like, oh, yo, I know y'all. And then Jack goes to like sign the receipt. And I'm like, dude, Jack, it's your first autograph, bro. And then there was a lady in there saying, y'all boys famous. It was a good time. I wasn't recognized, but Jack was, understandably. Another one from Luke Meyer.
You gotta tell him I'm the 2 and going for 2.
Yeah. But now he knows. Next one from also Luke Meyer. Do y'all think Friends in Low Places should be played at all MSU sporting events or exclusively at baseball? They can do anything I want with the music. Like, I mean, do anything. Like,
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't suck.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't suck and as long as it keeps the vibe going. You know, if it becomes a school song, then fantastic, play it at everything. But As of right now, I'd say it's more of a baseball song because it's like country's more of a baseball
Yeah,
type of music style.
yeah.
I don't see
feel
guys jamming out on the sideline, you
no.
know, getting
People
amped
forget
up
that
to.
the music during football games is, is kind of more for the players a little bit. Like, I mean,
Right.
get them hype, and you just kind of deal with it and also get hype. Next one, this is from Hunter 2. That's a good listener. Playoff 4 predictions right now. So I guess I'm going to go on this one. Wow, that's weird. I hate this. I think TCU's going to lose, so they're out of mine. It basically comes down to who do I pick to win between Georgia and Tennessee, and then
Mm-hmm.
who do I expect to win between Ohio State and Michigan, which that one's easy. So Michigan is my 1.
Ah.
No, wait, I said that back. Ohio State is my 1. They're not beating Michigan. Sorry, I accidentally said that. Opposite. Yeah, Ohio State 1. Um, I kind of think the stupid thing's gonna happen where there are 3 one-loss SEC teams, and I hate that because then it doesn't matter which one I say. So I'm gonna say 1 Ohio State, 2. Give me Georgia. 3. I guess that would be the Pac-12 team. Because if Ohio State beats Michigan, then Michigan's best win is Penn State, which that win doesn't hold up to anyone. So, okay. So Ohio State, then Georgia, then I guess winner of the Pac-12, which right now I'm between USC or Oregon. Oh, I hate this. Okay. So I'm going to go
Yeah.
Oregon there because Bo Nix. Surely one of those games is at home. And then my last team will be, so I have Georgia. I guess then it would be Tennessee would be it. And that would be Alabama losing in the SEC championships. They'd be the 2 losses. Then there'd be 2-1. Okay. Yeah, that's my answer. Got it.
So you have Tennessee, Ohio State,
Georgia
And who?
and Oregon.
Georgia, and Oregon.
God, I'd love that playoffs.
Yeah, that would be an
so
absolute
good.
wild one.
That's such a stupid. Oh, the playoffs are so much better than BCS.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude, you want to give yours on that one? I know I talked for like 8 hours on it, but I had to talk myself through it. Oh, I forgot about Clemson. Get Tennessee out, put Clemson in. Clemson's a lock for the playoffs. Dang.
You know who?
Almost
You know what?
forgot
I'm gonna
the
go with
ACC.
something a little different. I'm gonna go with a little something different. I'm gonna go Oregon, Ohio State, Clemson, and Tennessee. Not in that order,
Yeah, just.
but those are the 4.
And they'll make it so the SEC teams.
They'll-
don't
they'll
play
make it
again
work.
until yeah, but yeah. One last question, from Courtney Taylor now, instead of Purvis. When will the wives be on the pod? And I'm very excited to announce that the wife, because now I have a wife, he has a wife. That episode will be November 31st. So yes, we will finally be getting the wives episode. It'll be a good time. They'll put something together. They're doing the entire show, no help from us. So yeah. I guess we just did an episode. It's pretty
Nice.
crazy. Yeah. We have another guest coming in soon. I kind of outsourced this episode, just to kind of be fun. But yeah, it was great having you. Absolutely thank you for coming on. And yeah, I think it was great. We'll definitely have to have you on again.
Man, I appreciate it. That was a blast. I had a lot of fun on this episode.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone go follow him at Unofficial Hail State. If you follow us and don't follow him, I don't understand you. But I don't understand most things, like Mississippi State football. So yeah.
Mike Leach offense. It's all the same.
It's a blur. Yeah, but it was great having you, man. Thanks for coming.
I appreciate it, man.
Okay, so now it is time to do our picks for the week. And we have a special guest picker, Football James. And his picks will actually be counting for Jack this week. I have full contact with Jack. I am able to talk to him, but I told him, you're bringing in the big guns. He's going to make your picks for you. And I have a 1 game lead right now. Um, Jack, I think it went 6-4 last week, so I was able to take a 1 game lead. So Football James or Freddie, or I've never really known what name to call you. So
I go by both, honestly.
Isn't Frederick also one of them?
Yeah, I've gone by that before.
But
I
yeah,
respond to multiple names.
yeah. So our first game is going to be number 2 Ohio State at number 12 Penn State. And I'll let you give your picks first on all these. I pretty much have my mind made up on all these, so I'll just kind of let you go.
I mean, this game, it was pretty easy to pick.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State, they're gonna win. It's a noon game. I can't believe Penn State's not even doing a whiteout for this game.
Yeah.
So
I think they kind of got tired of having like away losing record in the whiteout games because they played against either one of the best teams in the Big Ten. So that kind of makes sense. I'm also going Ohio State here, obviously.
yeah.
Yeah. Second game, number 7 TCU at West Virginia.
I'll admit I was very close to picking West Virginia. I mean, Morgantown, it's a great college town, and it's a tough place to win in. But TCU, they're just on fire right now, and I have to go with the Horned Frogs.
I think we see a story like this every year, and it always falls down, and it's always to who you don't expect. So give me West Virginia here. I think JT Daniels will be able to stay in a football game and not be injured with the lead. So it's a risky bet, but I have a feeling on this one. It's really stupid. Our next game is Notre Dame at number 16 Syracuse. What you got?
Notre Dame, I'll say one thing. They do have a very good defense.
Mm-hmm.
Offense, though, is one of the worst in the country. Syracuse last week, I mean, they came to play against Clemson. I wasn't sure if they could do it. And no doubt in my mind, Syracuse is going to win this game.
Yeah, I also picked Syracuse here. Don't pick against Garrett Schrader. So that's pretty much where mine's going. And this next game, Arkansas at Auburn. I thought this was one of the easier games.
For this game, I mean, you have to go with Arkansas.
The spread
defense,
on betting is only 3.5, which is
it's
weird.
only 3.5.
Yeah, it started at 2.
I guess it's because Arkansas's defense isn't the best, but I mean their offense is on fire.
Yeah.
And Auburn, they don't really have an offense. It's Tank Bigsby, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, if you're gonna have someone to be all of your offense, it's a pretty good guy, but that's a lot for him, especially when they don't give him the ball in good situations. But the next game is number 9 Oklahoma State at Kansas State.
Oklahoma State, I think they've only lost 1 game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Kansas State lost to TCU last week in a close one. I have no idea if Adrian Martinez is playing, but
I think he is not playing.
Oh, he's not playing?
I believe
okay.
So. But, I mean, Spencer Sanders is also banged up, so it's kind of like,
It's pretty even.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going with Kansas State in this game.
Okay.
Deuce Vaughn's a beast. So.
Yeah, I'm going Oklahoma State. Really have no reason for that. But, yeah, I should have picked with Short King Deuce Vaughn, but I didn't. I'm going against my own people here. The next game is number 19 Kentucky at number 3 Tennessee.
I think Tennessee's going to win this game, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think
I
because
have that same opinion.
Tennessee has it. Their defense is not good. Their
And
offense is
Kentucky
winning
can
them games.
absolutely slow down a game.
Oh,
They,
absolutely.
they
I mean,
can
they're the
slow down a
second best
game where
defense in the
there's no
SEC.
way that you can beat them by 14. Like like
Yeah,
they can shorten a game very easily. I'm also
and
picking Tennessee here, but that's all I got.
yeah, I think they're definitely going to do that.
Yeah. Uh, the next game, we have number 20, Cincinnati, going to UCF to play against John Rice Plumlee, whose career highlights consist of losing to LSU, but running for a lot of yards. Um, yeah. What you got here? I picked this one just because it seems like a toss-up game.
It definitely is. Now, honestly, I was considering UCF for this game until I saw last week's game against East Carolina. They
Mm-hmm.
did not look good. But I think UCF's going to bounce back
Bounce
and
back in the
is
bounce
going to beat
house.
Cincinnati.
Yeah. I'm also picking
That's what's
UCF
going to
here.
happen.
Yeah. Okay, the next game is number 15, former future SEC champions, Ole Miss. Uh, again, going to College Station to play future former SEC West champs. Or former future, former future SEC West champs. If you listen to people around 6 weeks ago, um, I love that both of
Yeah,
these teams are sad now. They get to join us.
yeah. It's fun to watch. For this game, I'm taking Ole Miss. I mean, they're gonna have probably 500 rushing yards. Texas A&M's run defense is so bad. We even put up like 150 rushing yards on
Hmm.
them, and we're not a running team.
Yeah, yeah. All of that makes sense. And Texas A&M can't score, but I'm gonna do something really stupid. I'm gonna pick A&M here, just because Jimbo's gonna get to 8-4 somehow. Like,
He
like
will.
the meme will live of Jimbo 8-4. So for that to happen, he needs to win this one. So give me A&M. So stupid.
It is hard to win in Kyle Field, so
Yeah, unless
you
you're
never
like
know.
Will Rogers, so
Yeah, Will
or
Rogers
Nick
is
Fitzgerald,
undefeated.
or, or like just anyone. Okay, so the next game is Pitt at the weirdest team in maybe the country, number 21 North Carolina. Is North Carolina good?
I don't know. I feel like North Carolina and Tennessee are very similar. Like obviously, Tennessee has that win over Alabama, which boosted them up. But
Hmm.
I mean, what I mean is they both have very good offenses, top 10 offenses, maybe even top five. But then they have the worst defenses in the country.
Yeah,
Um, I I'm honestly thinking about going with Pitt with the upset in this game.
yeah. I think I'm gonna go with North Carolina on this one. I know bold take, um, but I just think that there's something weird about this team. I mean, I could really see it happening where, okay, Clemson gets to the ACC championship, they got it, everything's good. No one's gonna come from the coastal and beat them, and then North Carolina shows up and beats them, and then the
Hmm.
college football playoff committee has the weirdest decision ever to make.
Hey, I'm all for chaos.
Yeah, everyone's for chaos until it happens. Um, the next America's Game of the Week, Game Day is there. Um, maybe the best team in Mississippi, Southern University at Jackson State. Who are you picking in this one?
I really want to go with Southern, and no disrespect to Deion Sanders, he's doing a phenomenal job at Jackson State, but I feel like Southern, they're
I don't know what happened to your mic. I'm gonna talk while you're not talking. I'll let you figure that one out. But I'm gonna go Jackson State here. I think that Veterans Memorial Coliseum of Mississippi is going to be jumping. It's going to be massive. Going to be the biggest game in the state, maybe the biggest game in the state of the season. So, yeah, that's my pick. James, it looks like your mic just hooked back up.
Wait, oh.
There we go. Yeah, just re-say whatever you said over the past 15 seconds.
I said I'm taking Southern in this one. I think it was the SWAC championship last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was between Jackson State and South Carolina State, or it was the Celebration Bowl. It was one of them.
Celebration Bowl.
Oh, the Celebration Bowl? Okay.
I believe so.
I think Southern's going to come in here and pull a big upset in Jackson.
Yeah. I picked Jackson State on this one. I think it's going to be a crazy environment. Game day is there. Really weird. Kind of called it earlier in the year, but, I'm not taking pats on the back. But yeah. It was good having you on for the picks. And I did want to give you an opportunity to give me the rest of the season predictions for Mississippi State.
Okay. So Auburn.
I've heard these are going to be completely rational.
Yeah. Auburn, we're going to beat them. Georgia, I think we're going to cover the spread.
I think we're going to beat them. You're more reasonable than me. Chaos, James, chaos.
Chaos. Hey, I'm all for it.
Are you a sicko?
Nah, I don't know. I don't know if I want Georgia to win this game, or I mean, if I don't know if I want Mississippi State to win this game or Georgia, because I did grow up a Georgia fan, so I still got that Georgia Bulldog in my heart.
Not gonna lie, I'd much rather Mississippi State win it. I'm sorry for your heritage.
Yeah,
but
but I'm taking. I really want Mississippi State to win it too, because it's our only chance at rushing the field this year, and I just want to have that feeling.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
So I hope Mississippi State wins, but I think Georgia's going to.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the next game?
East
Tennessee. I mean, we'll win by 40.
Epically loses by 13. And then it comes down to the Egg Bowl, as it does every year. What you got?
I don't know how we're gonna do it, but we're gonna find a way to win this game. It's been 3 years since we last won it, and I mean last year, if we caught a few more passes,
the past 2 years we've played them well.
It could have been a close.
Yeah,
I mean we actually have.
In 2020 we played them very well, but Old Reliable fumbled and there was a 14-point swing and a 3-point game. But people have told me that didn't matter. Those people are wrong.
I think definitely did. You fumble on the goal line, you're gonna lose the momentum like that.
And then they go score off of that, and you could have scored 7, and then they score 7, so that's 14 points difference. But I digress. I would like to bring up one thing. So my preseason predictions for this team, I think I had us ending at 8-4, and I have got every game correct so far. And would you like to know the rest of my season predictions? I'm gonna tell you anyway.
Does it have us winning out?
No,
yeah, just tell me. Just tell me.
Okay, so we have a two game losing streak right now. That goes to a 3-game losing streak. I had us losing to Auburn, and that leaves you thinking, wait, if we're at 5-3 or 5-4, how do we get to 8-4? Well, then we beat Georgia, we beat East Tennessee State, and we beat Ole Miss. So I don't know if I've cursed this team to lose to Auburn or not, but it really feels like I have. I'm kind of worried.
Hopefully you're wrong about this one.
I'm really hoping I'm wrong. I would really like to be wrong.
This game is our most important game. If we don't win this game, I don't know how we're gonna finish the rest of the season.
But then if you come back the next week and beat Georgia, it would be so cool. That would just
Yeah,
be your
it
personal
definitely would
hell.
be. Yeah, I mean that's the Mike Leach. That's the Mike Leach way.
Yeah.
You beat teams that you're not supposed to, and then you lose to teams that you're supposed to beat.
Yeah, I'd rather
So
beat the teams I'm supposed to beat and then play competitively with the teams I'm supposed to lose to. If I had to choose. But
yeah,
we're not like normal teams. We suck.
yeah. We like to make it We like to make it interesting. So
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure Jack's gonna love the picks that you gave. Um, Personally, I hope that they're not great. I would love to keep this lead. I do not want to buy a transfer to the SIP hoodie and post it on my personal Instagram.
oh no.
Yeah, do a little gas station pick with the transfer to the SIP.
Oh no. Yeah,
I don't
well,
know why I signed
my
up for
picks have
this.
not been the best.
Oh
I'll admit
God,
that over the past 2 weeks. So
me and Jack have been like actually really good with them.
yeah.
Like he's at nope, that's our top 25. I don't want to see that. I want to see our picks. So I'm at 71% and he's at 70% on picks. So like we've been like weirdly like pretty good. He has a 10-0 game in there, a 10-0 week in there, which ruined me for a little bit, but I fought back. But thank
Yeah,
you so
last
much
week,
for
I think.
coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Alright, so now that we have our picks out of the way, usually this would be the end of the show, but since it's bye week, let's just keep on going. There's a few things that we happen in the fall that we don't talk about much on Going for Two, and we've never really had the opportunity to because Jack doesn't enjoy the NFL. I like college way more than NFL, so we've never really talked the NFL. But we brought in Drew Robinson to talk the NFL with us. Well, I guess just me and Drew talking about the NFL. So I guess this is just gonna be a little NFL segment. Drew, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Hunter. I'm honored to be here. Long-time listener, big fan.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Yeah, I won the March Madness bracket pick'em. I've won at least 1 week of the college football pick'ems, so I feel I have a strong resume to talk about the NFL
Yeah,
because those things are really
Both of those things really include the NFL.
exactly.
So yeah, I think what we're gonna do is, since we're an hour in, I mean it doesn't matter what we do. So I just thought let's just go through divisions and talk about each team. Either you'll give your opinion, we'll both give our opinion. I'll give my opinion. We'll just go through them. Okay.
Perfect.
So I guess we'll start with the AFC East, starting with Buffalo. Buffalo's really
Buffalo.
good.
Yeah, they're great. Honestly, you won't find another team like in the rest of the 31 who has better Super Bowl odds, in my opinion. Like, they're really Super Bowl or bust. Like, it's the Chiefs and maybe the Eagles, but like the Bills are honestly in their own tier.
Yeah,
Like, the rest of their roster, like they're right in their window.
I'd say that the Eagles, honestly, I would give them better odds because they don't have to play Buffalo to get there.
True. Yeah, but it's like the Eagles don't have to get out of the AFC,
Yeah.
which is inherently to their advantage. But
Yeah.
to me, Buffalo is the best team at this
Yeah,
point.
Buffalo, give them the odds, and then, yeah, they're just really good. Von Miller, he's timeless. Like,
I mean, I don't think I've ever heard of a team employing I've never heard of a team employing a sports psychologist. That's pretty common, but the way Buffalo is employing their sports psychologist to get over the collapse against Kansas City and the way they've started this season is just really encouraging to me.
yeah, I agree. And then our next team, the New York Jets.
Jets.
Yeah, a team on a 4-game winning streak, longest in the division. Is that? Yeah. That's silly.
Things are looking up in Jets land. You don't get
Except
to see
for-
that often.
Except
so-
for like Elijah Moore being persecuted by not being thrown the ball, and
Whoops.
Brees Hall being injured.
Whoops.
Yeah, just those two things. Other than that, things are pretty good. And like their star offensive lineman getting injured. But
Two
other
weeks
than
ago, they
those
beat
three
Aaron
things,
Rodgers, Hunter. You don't have to be so down.
oh yeah, Aaron Rodgers so good. Couldn't beat Taylor Heineke. Okay, yeah, Jets.
Yeah, Jets possibly wild card frisky, but as loaded as the AFC is, I don't see how they get through November.
Yeah. The next team, the Miami Dolphins.
The Finns.
Tua is undefeated.
This is definitely like the most encouraging stretch we've seen of Tua's career under Mike McDaniel. I don't see how you can't be encouraged by his tenure so far. These two different former 49er coordinators. You've got Bob Saleh with the Jets and Mike McDaniel now with the Dolphins. This could be a bit of a rivalry for years to come with offense versus defense.
Yeah. And then I'd say the least exciting team by a metric mile.
What do you mean?
The New England Patriots.
Here to get zapped?
If there was a team that has two half quarterbacks, it would be the New England Patriots. I don't like Mac Jones. I like Zappy. He just kind of isn't the best. But him not being great is still like as good as Mac Jones.
It's weird that the Patriots are the least like hopeful team in this division. Like they've lorded over it for so long, but now like they're really not the fan base you want to be a part of.
No. They were booing Mac Jones after he came back from a high ankle sprain. So that was a little weird.
Wasn't it this past offseason they spent so much money, or was it the offseason before?
I'm not sure. They're always weird.
But they loaded up in free agency, and it's hard to see that paying off for them right now.
Yeah, and now I guess we're done with the AFC East. I guess let's move on to your favorite division, the AFC North.
The North. Good times.
Yeah. Honestly, for this one, I'll just let you talk about the AFC North for a little bit. I know you're very in tune with this.
So I think with the North, you need to start with the Bengals. They made the Super Bowl last year. Really didn't get much worse because their quarterback is still on his rookie contract. Obviously, with the Bengals, because their owner is one of the only 2 out of 32 who's not independently wealthy, they don't always have a ton of money to throw around, but they're a pretty smart org that knows what they'll need. They aren't afraid to use like second and third stint players. With all that being said, kind of middling to start the year. Evan McPherson blew up in their face in week 1, but it does look like they've rebounded. They look strong, and they're going to play the Browns on Monday night on Halloween in a Halloween bowl between the orange and black teams. I think that leads me straight to Cleveland since I just talked about them. Kind of a mess there too.
No,
been
not
campaigns
them.
to get the special teams coordinator and defensive coordinator out of town. You've got Myles Garrett. He's missed some time. Denzel Ward has also missed some time. Same thing with Jadeveon Clowney on defense for them. They traded for Deion Jones, who's going to debut. But they've been missing pieces, and they've also seen key underperformances from some of their top players.
Yeah, I think we've reached the upper limit of how much you want to see Jacoby Brissett play in a year.
Yeah, it's weird because going into the season, you'd have expected Cleveland to be a better defensive team and potentially to struggle on offense. When in reality, Brissett's and Nick Chubb has done a lot of the heavy lifting, kind of been carrying them.
But what about in last drives to win a game?
Yeah, and what's really concerning to me, and spoiler alert, I am a Browns fan. This is something we've seen now throughout the Kevin Stefanski era, is bad 2-minute drives. It was a thing we said with Baker, and then he got his first 2-minute warning, game-winning drive or game-tying drive against the Browns in week 1. And now we're having problems this season. So
You're saying
the trend
an
is
offense
continued.
based on running the ball up the middle has struggles when they need 2-minute drives?
So on to Pittsburgh. That's a great transition. Pittsburgh, we seemingly thought could only run the ball up the middle, but this season we found that maybe Najee Harris isn't that good too. Two different quarterbacks, wildly different offenses that both aren't very good with the two different quarterbacks. It's Mitch can be a bit too gun shy. Kenny can be a bit too
Kenny
expressive,
Pickett, maybe?
throwing the ball around the field. Can't not be encouraged looking forward, though, by the Kenny Pickett George Pickens connection. That's definitely encouraging with Deontay and Najee and Pat Fryermuth. But they're going to need to significantly rehaul that offensive line before they look to contend again,
Yeah.
especially with TJ Watt missing significant time this season.
Yeah, for sure.
And lastly, we've got the Ravens, who honestly are the favorites to win it, even though Cincinnati's got a Super Bowl. They're just now coming off, or a Super Bowl appearance. This is Lamar Jackson's contract season, so obviously he's going all out to repeat his MVP efforts and get a big contract. And I really think Baltimore's going to be able to parlay that into a division title. Kind of a mad year, Pittsburgh's finally done. The Bengals have been a little weird. No Deshaun for the first 3/4 of the year for the Browns. Kind of think this is Baltimore's year.
Yeah, and I was saying that early, like preseason and stuff. But one wise man told me, all the other teams got worse. Pittsburgh got better. And I'd give them the worst odds.
The line for them is just so poor. And, the defense is so hard to recreate elite defense from year to year. Ask Saxonville about that and how long that can last. So it's just tough.
Yeah, for sure. That brings us into the AFC South. It's one of the divisions in football.
Well, perfect. I just mentioned Saxonville, and they're off to a fun start. Trevor Lawrence has had a rough go of it so far with Urban Meyer as his first head coach, but I liked the Peterson hire. I like the competency they've built on the O-line in front of Lawrence. And on the games, like when Jacksonville can protect Lawrence, when they win that battle up front, they're very hard to beat. They've quickly become a good team. But when you can overmatch them up front and get pressure on Lawrence, that's the bugaboo for them. They can regress. You can see they're almost like the Batman villain Two-Face. You can see both sides of them.
I like it. Okay, now talk about Houston for me.
Houston, so Davis Mills.
Mills
Who is
Mafia?
he? Suddenly he seemed good as a rookie, but it doesn't really seem like he's been able to recapture that magic as a sophomore. Inconsistent at best offensive output from this Texans offense. Some strange coaching decisions in the offseason. I quite liked David Culley. Didn't quite understand why you needed to remove Culley if you're just going to keep Lovie Smith.
Yeah. He has a cool beard.
Just strange stuff, but very well positioned for the future with their own top pick and also some looks like pretty pivotal draft capital headed their way from
and
Cleveland.
Stingley's really good, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't want to talk
Stingley.
about the Texans without mentioning Derek Stingley.
I
He's
didn't
having a nice
like
rookie
that pick,
campaign.
but he's really good. Don't doubt LSU DBs. Then that leaves the last team, the Tennessee Titans, new stadium.
And we didn't talk about the Colts, did we?
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about the Colts.
No worries, they're kind of forgettable. It's okay.
Yeah, Sam Ellinger. We're
Wanna
back.
do Colts first? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously new quarterback we haven't seen yet. He'll make his debut. The Matt Ryan era pretty short if it's over. They do have their own first round pick though, so if they want to try to get a top pick, spend it on a quarterback, take that route, and kind of try to rocket back into contending status.
But do you trust them to pick a quarterback?
Well, we've never seen them miss on a quarterback pick, have we?
So you're telling me when they were in position to pick two generational talents, they picked them?
I mean, they're doing great. They're just like the Packers, batting 1,000.
Drew, are you sure about that? I'm pretty sure the Packers have some backup quarterback right now that can't find his way onto the field.
Let's not talk about it.
They were so scared of him touching the field that they that they let Aaron make all the decisions.
Do we need to move on to the Titans?
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
Jordan Love. Yeah, sorry. Someone here may have thought Jordan Love was going to be very good, and it wasn't Hunter.
He's in the mold of Josh Allen. No, he's not.
Ryan Tannehill is strangely still playing well. His demise was greatly over-exaggerated. Not the first time that's happened to Ryan. He's been casted off before. They have no offensive line talent in Tennessee, but Ryan doesn't really mind. Between Derrick Henry, Robert Woods, what I thought was going to be the emergence of Kyle Phillips and Treylon Burks, but they're both injured. The Titans just survive and thrive. They don't really mind. They keep playing good defense. Mike Vrabel always has that team playing tough. It's been a staple of his tenure. And they continue to get good quarterback play out of Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
And every year it surprises me.
Their D-line is one of my favorite defensive lines. For obvious reasons, two of their starters are Mississippi State guys. But they just wreak havoc.
They absolutely do.
They're just
Yeah.
huge dudes. And you don't see that on many defensive lines. Where it's
You don't.
three
The
out of four
Titans
of them
are a
are just
throwback
huge.
team. And honestly, at this point in the season, I have a hard time picking anyone but Tennessee to win that division. But
Yeah.
if it's going to be someone else, I think it could be the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Essentially frisky.
Yeah. I think the Colts pretty much mailed the season in. Even though how much I like
people,
Ellinger, but
including myself, going into the season, in the preseason, we're riding the Colts train and thinking that Matt Ryan would be an upgrade, but that just didn't materialize.
I think they may just be a cursed franchise.
Potentially, for a long time I thought it was Grigson, but it's new regimes. I thought Ballard was going to be a good GM for them. I thought Frank Reich was going to be a good coach, but seems we've been misled, perhaps, if they don't
Yeah.
right the ship soon.
Okay, and that leads us into the AFC West, which it may be the weirdest division,
Also, maybe the best.
and maybe the worst.
It's all a matter of
It's
perspective.
somewhere between the best and the worst, and I'm not sure it's in the middle.
I feel like all of us, you've seen that image of Melvin Gordon looking at Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
That's all of us looking at the AFC West.
Yeah, so I guess you said Russell Wilson. Let's start with Denver.
Oh boy. I just Photoshop you trying to sleep on a plane and me doing the leg raises in the aisle.
I hate Russell Wilson.
Don't we all?
He's injured. He's in real pain.
He's in emotional pain.
He's like, I slept for 1 hour, and then I got up and watched more film. I hate him. I hate this team. I hate their coach. I don't like Denver.
I'm also out on Denver at this.
I don't know what happened.
Hack.
Yeah,
That
okay.
was weird. Sorry.
Yeah, it's
Can you
okay.
still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I don't think that Nathaniel can hack it. Obviously, Big Denver didn't want me to say that on the media waves,
Yeah.
but I'm saying it anyway.
Yeah.
The Broncos
Next,
aren't any good.
the Raiders.
The oddest team, I don't think it's talked about enough. I don't think it was considered enough when they moved from Oakland to Vegas, or I guess from Los Angeles, right? So they're already back in LA. I'm
not-
tripping.
No, they were in
No,
Oakland.
they were in Oakland? Okay.
Yeah.
My bad. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, they didn't consider how much trouble their players were going to get in, how much temptation was going to be right there. That's already causing big problems for them. My first thought when I read the news was, oh, poor Darren Waller. Why you got to put him in Las Vegas? But Henry Ruggs, there's more. It's just the first one popping into my brain, but
There was
it's
around
not good.
3 first-round picks, or no, it was 2 first-round picks.
Damon
those
Arnett,
guys.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not good for Oakland.
And I can't tell if they suck or not.
Like, it's really been good for Oakland that Russell Wilson has imploded, because I think they'd get a lot more grief. They were like the last team to get a win. It took them a month to figure out Josh Jacobs is good.
You know that they have a plus 13 scoring differential? And the next team, the Chargers, has a minus 25 scoring differential.
You know, Justin Herbert, much like Josh Allen before him and not Jordan Love, was doubted by many, but has come into the NFL. Did it again, sorry.
Yeah, that's not
He's
good.
come
Man.
into the NFL and had great success, like immediately. He throws for a lot of yards. I've seen Brandon Staley get a lot of grief for his fourth down decisions, but
They're always backed by
honestly,
data.
yeah, I just like that he has a model and sticks to it.
Mhm. If you
manage
start
trust your team.
deviating from it, that's like when you get in trouble. But if you just always do what it says,
You know, people like use the word analytics and then it becomes like a catch-all term, right? But like those models consider like the down and distance, how much time is left, the weather conditions,
quality of the other team.
previous outcomes, quality of opponent, quality of self. So like, yeah, use them. You know, it's not. Don't just use your gut or like the wind, how you're feeling that day.
don't use
Like no, use
don't
them.
use the emotion.
Yeah, I am a pretty big Brandon Staley guy, even though usually I don't support defensive coaches getting
Yeah.
promotions.
So
to head
like,
coach.
if I gave you like a die and I was like, okay, roll it, and do you think this is gonna be over 2? And you say, yeah, it's gonna be over 2, and then it's 1. Like, like you were on the right side of that, but it just didn't work out. That's
Yeah.
how probabilities work.
And like the other side of that coin is I can agree with a decision to go for it and disagree with a play call.
I'm sorry, babe.
Like
they
on
ran
4th
a
and
triple
1.
option on 4th
Yeah.
and 4.
You know, like, yes, go for it. No, don't take the ball out of your best player's hand on the crucial play. Like, you know, these thoughts can exist simultaneously. With that being said, I think the Chargers are undervalued. I think the Chargers are much better than their record last year or even so far this year indicates.
I don't think that they're.
It's
I don't
just
think
that
they're
they're
great,
in
and I don't
injury
think they're
hell.
gonna make the playoffs.
Interesting. I think they're the second best team in the AFC West, and I think that team makes the playoffs on default with the 7-team format.
Sadly, it says Chargers next to their name, so
So
no.
nothing good can happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on to the eventual AFC West winner, we have the Chiefs. I traded for Pat Mahomes in our Dynasty Fantasy Football League this season, and I'm loving it. He seems great. I gotta say, I wish I could have started rooting for this guy sooner. He's tremendous. So is Travis Kelce. I thought Clyde Edwards-Helaire was reemerging for a moment, but that seems over. Still scheming up good defense despite the lack of big names. Business as usual for Andy Reid and company. One of the best coach teams. Some of the highest, most elite offensive talent in the whole league. What's not to like?
Yeah. I don't like any of these people. I don't like Mahomes. I'm not crazy about Andy Reid. See, I can simultaneously say that I don't like Mahomes and that Andy Reid is only carried by high tier talent. I don't like watching Travis Kelce. I'm glad Tyreek Hill's no longer there.
Me too. Notice how I didn't talk about him during Miami. So
Yeah. I don't like him. But he's
Not a
too good
nice
at
guy.
football. Sorry, my dog is barking in the background. But we are 85 minutes in, so I am not cutting this. Yeah, that's it for the AFC. Now let's get to the NFC. So I guess let's start with the NFC Beast.
sounds good. Let's start with the team that once had no name but is now called the Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
And let's check in on Carson Wentz, working on his third team. Already some locker room problems. I saw that Ron Rivera completely laid him out to dry in the media, which is a great sign. just not great vibes. I mean, it's from Snyder down, isn't it? Anything you'd like to say about your former favorite team, Deer Hunter?
No. Terry McLaurin needs help. Get him out of there. Montez Sweat needs help. Get him out of there. Everyone else I do not care about.
So we're on to the G-men.
Gross.
Honestly, this has probably been the biggest NFL surprise. Is how fast Daniel Jones and the G-men have turned it around without any receivers.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah, this has been a really weird one, but you have to give the credit to Brian Daboll, the new staff there, coming from Buffalo. They've done a tremendous job. I saw a stat that Daniel Jones was number 3 in expected points added per dropback in the NFL, which kind of blew my mind. This Danny Dimes we're talking about, the guy who was like Jameis Winston-esque in terms of turnover-worthy play proneness just last season. Really impressive start for them, 5-1. The Giants didn't see that coming.
Yeah, me either. I know that they didn't pick up his 5th-year option.
I bet they regret that now.
How worried are they?
I honestly have no way of answering that question.
Like you have to be kind of
Surely they're sweating it though, just like instant reaction.
like you're gonna get stuck with this guy for a lot of money,
I mean,
and you can't
at the end
not
of the day,
stay
you're
with
happy
him.
to see your first round pick quarterback play well,
Are they?
and you'll figure out the money. But like,
Are they happy to see him do great?
I mean, I don't know.
They're
Just
using him as a wrecking ball because they don't have a contract on him.
like, I mean, if they were gonna give him the 5th-year option, that's the average of top 5 at his position. So I mean, even though Daniel Jones is playing well, will he command a contract of that value? I suspect not.
Yeah, you're
But
probably
IDK,
right.
he's the best quarterback they had since Eli, so maybe they'll pay him the moon.
And they paid Eli a lot of money. Oh,
They did.
yeah. So I guess next is a quarterback that did get paid a lot of money. Dak Prescott in Dallas.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm certainly not going to say a mean thing about him on this podcast. Can you imagine how unwise that would be? Dak's the best.
Right.
I
Cooper
think
Rush
they'll miss,
definitely isn't better.
Yeah, I think they'll miss Amari Cooper. The decision to pay Zeke still kind of haunts them from a team building perspective. But the rookie they drafted, not this season, last season, Parsons, who had some very Penn State allegations during his time there. Well, he's just been a revelation.
Yeah, he's really good at football.
Really, really good at football. Like, so good that I totally get how he got away with that.
Yeah, they were
Like-
talking like, this guy's gonna fall off a draft board.
Yeah.
This guy's really good at football.
Like, buddy, Micah Parsons would have to commit serious war crimes. Like, not your average middle of the day.
Not your
war crimes.
average Penn State. Yeah, but he's
Yeah.
really, really good. Trayvon
But
Diggs is
it's kind
also
of the
good.
same. Yeah, true. But it's kind of like the same old story you've been hearing forever with the Cowboys. Probably not run the most efficiently, but they have a lot of elite talent and a pretty darn good quarterback. So, yeah, they're going to compete in the NFC East year to year for sure. This year will be no different.
And that brings us to the Eagles.
They're the last team we're going to talk about in this division. I've noticed a trend of us waiting to talk about the favorites until
I'm
last.
definitely looking at the standings and going from the
Nice.
bottom.
That's wise of you. At the very beginning of this, I said the Bills were like big-time Super Bowl contenders. I don't think the Chiefs are far behind them, but then to me, it's the Eagles. Like, they're number 3, and they're definitely the class of the NFC.
Yeah, they're so good.
The
Nick
offense
Sirianni,
his
since he got
offense.
here, has been doing what Jalen Hurts is good at. And there's not a lot of coaches in the NFL that will kind of like put down like what their system is and then just adapt it to what their quarterback is good at. But he's done it, and Jalen Hurts looks great right now.
He does look great. Honestly, their offense reminds me a lot of Lane Kiffin's.
Yeah,
Like, it really works well.
just
But they
make
get
the
ground
easy
game
throws,
rolling,
get the guy, get the
and
numbers.
then it works better later in the game than it did at the beginning because you're wearing out bodies on the
And then you could
defense.
just go get some insane talent at wide receiver.
Yeah, and it's hard to imagine a world where they don't finish as the number one seed in the NFC when you look at their schedule.
Yeah.
Like, there just aren't any games from now until they host a playoff game where you don't think they'll be favored.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So that brings us to the NFC North, and I guess we're going to start with the Detroit Lions.
Hard Knocks, America's team. They've been knocked around pretty hard since then, haven't they? We've discovered this is the worst defense in the NFL. Jared Goff does not look like a franchise quarterback.
No, no,
Haven't seen a lot of DeAndre Swift.
no.
And now Amon-Ra St. Brown himself is hurt.
Yeah.
Just not a lot of positives here for Dan Campbell's units, despite a swell of optimism in August.
During watching Hard Knocks, did you ever notice that none of all of the stuff in the building was all about it's not about how hard you get hits, how hard you get back up. It's just a bunch of stuff from coming back from sucking. There's nothing there. It's like, let's go. We did it. It's just a sad place. I think Dan Campbell may be
Detroit Lions football.
I think Dan Campbell may be bad at being a head coach. At some point, losing close games comes down to someone, and yeah.
You know, sooner than later, it'll be him or the OC, and once the first domino falls there, you know the second one will eventually.
So now we get to go to my new favorite team.
Your new boo, the Bears.
Yeah, Chicago Bears. I'm just gonna take a 1-game sample size of this team, and I'm gonna take it from our most recent game.
It's a great idea. If you want to be optimistic.
Dude, Justin Fields is so good, bro. Dude, 13 for 21, 179 yards passing. Ran for 82 yards. Defense was great against the Patriots. That's just a good team right now. Good organization.
Gee, I wish I could agree with the honor. I wish
I wish I
jump
could
in
agree with me, Drew.
and like join in on the positivity train. I'm a big Khalil Herbert fan.
The Monday night game was fun though. Can you
Don't
blame
pay
me?
David Montgomery,
Don't pay running backs.
especially when you already have one that's better on your team.
And your quarterback is better at running than him.
Really was hoping this was going to be the season we'd see some offensive line improvement out of the unit in
No.
Chicago. Unfortunately, it's gone the other way. That's definitely hampering the development of Justin Fields. It's hard to get an accurate view of where he really is in his career.
If you take the first game of the season and the last game that we saw, the dude's great.
Yeah, like Hunter's optimism at the start of this Bears segment is not totally unfounded, but you could point to other games where he looked like one of, if not the worst quarterbacks in the whole league.
There was a
just this
time where
season.
he wasn't going to qualify for the end of year stats for a quarterback because he
Yeah.
hadn't thrown enough. And now he may.
That's why the Bears are only going to win 6 games. Let's
But
talk about the Packers.
Another 3-4 team. I guess they're super disappointing as well.
They did lose to the Jets.
Jets, Jets.
Yeah, the Packers, this is really the first time, other than playoff losses, you could say that Matt LaFleur's unit has run into some adversity. This is their first regular season adversity, and I'm not sure how they'll get through it because honestly, it's a talent problem. They don't have anyone that scares defenses in terms of receiving threats. They're really sinking down on Dillon and Jones, and despite all the arm talent Aaron Rodgers has, they don't have the weapons to complete big passes down the field on a consistent
especially
basis.
when all they'll do is throw it to who's the old dude that he keeps on bringing back to him?
Randall Cobb.
Oh yeah, that's him.
I was a big Christian Watson fan in the draft. Kind of your prototypical Braylon Edwards type. Size, speed, can win down the field vertically. struggles at the catch point.
Mm-hmm.
Really tough landing spot for Christian with Green
Yeah,
Bay. Like at
quarterback
first you
that
want to be
hates
happy that he found
rookies.
an elite quarterback, but then like he had a few drops and really irritated Aaron Rodgers, and that was the end of that,
Surely Aaron
wasn't
didn't
it?
throw him underneath the bus.
No, not on a Pat McAfee interview.
Aaron would never do that. He's a humble guy. And that brings us to the best team in the NFC North, the Minnesota Vikings.
The Purple People Eaters, another big surprise, kind of like the G-Men, new coach and new good results.
Yeah. I don't know what happened, but Cam Dantzler is now good at football. I've been
Should have
waiting
get rid
for
of
that
Mike
one for
Zimmer.
a while. I had to get the Mississippi State thing in.
Of course.
But yeah. That's what I
Kind
got.
of a similar story to when we were talking about the Bears and hoping their O-line would get better. The Vikings have gotten a bit better up front. They really modernized their play calling and their tendencies and
They line up
their
like Justin
decision
Jefferson
making
in the
on
backfield.
offense. Yeah, they do a lot of fun stuff.
It's so
Kevin
fun.
O'Connell is of the Sean McVay tree, which is a much different tree than the Marvin Lewis tree. So, much different systems in place now for the Vikings and much different results. It's been fun for them so far.
Okay. Now with that one out of the way, we have two good divisions coming up soon. So first, let's do the NFC South. And
Good
it's
times.
a little weird looking at this one from the bottom up.
Don't we start with the Saints?
Yeah, we start with the New
Yeah.
Orleans Saints.
Gee, I was definitely higher on the Saints in August than I am now. It's
Mhm.
been disappointing. The Pete Carmichael era as play caller has not gone as smoothly as Saints fans and myself had hoped it would. The Jameis Winston second stint as a starter for the Saints did not go particularly well. That wasn't very pretty before he left with back injuries. And now officially, even though he's healthy again, Andy Dalton's playing over him, which just isn't a good look. It's like the Mendoza line in baseball, the Andy Dalton line. And if Jameis Winston is below it, it's not where you want to be. Still a lot of talent and still everything in front of these Saints. There's still only one game out of the division lead,
That's
right?
so stupid.
This is obviously going to be that division this season where someone right at 500 or even right below 500 will make the playoffs. Honestly, my money's still on Tom Brady to come out of it, but the Saints are in it. They're going to be in this dogfight till the end, I suspect, because they don't have their first round pick. No incentive to lose.
Yeah. Okay, then the next team is the Carolina Panthers, now ruleless.
Yes, now
and
Matt
CMC
Rulis
less.
and CMC less. Will they soon be Brian Burns or DJ Moorless? We shall see.
Brian Burns, yes. DJ Moore, no. That's my bad.
I would probably flip it. That's how I see it. Anyway, just the opposite of what I just said about New Orleans and staying in this dogfight to the end. The Panthers have every incentive to lose.
And they
That's
accidentally
why
won.
they're putting PJ Walker in, and it didn't go as planned. But yeah, they're going to be looking to pick a quarterback pretty high in the draft come this next April, I should say.
You're saying Matt Corral isn't the answer?
Well, we haven't seen him yet to find out if he is the answer.
We won't.
But my
Okay,
suspicion
next
is
team.
much like Josh Rosen, he'll be cast aside pretty quickly.
Next team, the Atlanta Falcons.
The Falcons.
This is a kind of fun team.
It really is. Much like the Titans, kind of a throwback, and it makes sense because that's where Arthur Smith got hired from. I'm a big Arthur Smith fan because he has military experience. He went to the academy. Only he and Bill Belichick can say that amongst NFL head coaches. And I think that's a really cool and unique. And honestly, we've only ever seen it with one other guy, and he was immensely successful at this job. And
Yeah,
Arthur's been
I guess
really
you're
good
right.
everywhere he's gone. The Titans' offense really hummed. They got the number one seed. The Falcons are funner than a lot of people thought they'd be so far in his tenure. He's
And we haven't seen Ritter yet.
resurged Cordero Patterson from priority special teamer to offensive focal point. The Kyle Pitts usage has been a little odd. Okay, more than a little odd. But alas, I'm still impressed with what Arthur's done, and I'm excited to see how he develops Desmond Ritter once we do see him.
Yeah. And that brings us to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah.
Yeah. Gee, what do you say? I mean, just so much to get into. Honestly, I knew it was all going to go downhill for these Bucks when Antonio Brown quit on my fantasy team in the title game. That was like a harbinger of doom for them. Is Giselle a witch? Hard to say. Hard to say. Not for me to say. But when you look at 20 years of data of Tom Brady winning every season, suddenly there are rumors that his soon-to-be ex-wife could be a witch and hexing him, and he starts losing. I don't think it's a coincidence, Hunter.
He's lost to the
What about you?
Steelers and Panthers.
What are we doing here?
Like the Steelers and Panthers.
Kenny Pickett, T.J. Walker, 2. Tom Brady, 0.
And that's honestly all I have for them. Like, I mean, I have nothing to add. That team is just... It's...
Just what are you doing here? I know that there are injuries. I know you're on your third center or whatever. But this is supposed to be like your win now window. You're not in cap purgatory for a couple more seasons. And you're blowing it. So get it together soon. You're lucky the rest of your division is also falling apart. But if you don't pick up the pieces soon, pitchforks and torches.
Yeah. So that... I guess let's go to our last division. The NFC West.
Fun one.
Maybe the most surprising. Maybe.
Essentially, I mean, all the NFL divisions are hard to predict.
And
but yeah.
and all of these teams are about even.
Yeah.
So
A lot of parity this
so at the
season.
bottom we have the Arizona Cardinals at 3-4, and I'll go off a little bit on this one. So you watch Arizona games. You see Kyler put up numbers. You ever see a Kyler highlight and you're like, wow, that was a good play call by Cliff Kingsbury? No, it's Kyler having to bail out Cliff Kingsbury because he's a bad coach. I don't like Cliff Kingsbury. I like Kyler, but this team is weirdly kind of okay.
My problems with Arizona reach far above Cliff Kingsbury. It's their owner. I think his name's Michael Bidwell. You saw their GM pick Josh Rosen and get a DUI in 12 months and keep his job and get to pick Kyler and attach himself to Kyler and rehire a second coach. He fired Steve Wilkes after one season and he gets to hire Cliff Kingsbury.
Got to hire a coach that
That's
got
bad
fired from
process.
Texas
You can't
Tech.
be surprised by this result.
They
You just
hired
can't.
they hired their head coach from USC as they were hiring him, not as the head coach, as an offensive coordinator.
I don't believe the Cardinals have ever won a Super Bowl before. I know they're one of the least successful NFL franchises in history, despite being around since the 70s. Michael Bidwell's a big part of that. It's ownership for them.
Yeah, and I guess if we're talking about least successful, let's talk about one of the most successful, the San Francisco 49ers.
The 49ers, one of the oddest NFL enterprises, manned by former analyst John Lynch and son of legendary coach Mike Shanahan, Kyle. Didn't go to plan at all for them. They were thinking this would be a season of getting Trey Lance ready and hopefully still having a good enough roster to carry him to the playoffs, get his feet wet, and then start the journey with him. But that's not happening because all those plans fell apart in the mud against the Bears in September.
And now they're weirdly in win now mode.
Well, they're right back where they were last season when they made the NFC title game. It's back to Jimmy and wait and see with Trey. It's just wait.
I love this team. I love Kyle.
They're so odd. I miss him in Cleveland. I wish he had just gotten a head coach job and we had hired him too soon. but alas, it's hard not to root for one of the weirdest outfits in the NFL, the 49ers.
Yeah. Next, another one of the teams that I don't like, the LA Rams. Go ahead, do the thing where you talk about the coach, and then you're like, how can you not like this guy?
I don't feel that way about Sean McVay, to be honest.
God. Their GM is so good.
Yeah.
God,
Coming from the Saints tree, Mickey Loomis. Obviously, I think they're starting to see the ramifications of their aggressive strategies over the past few seasons. It doesn't matter so much when you can just smash your 6th-round picks out of the water the way that they have. When you look at Williams, the corner they've gotten, Taylor Rapp, the safety, all the edge talent they get that is just picked up off the scrap heap.
Mm-hmm.
It's really impressive what Mickey does to keep that team afloat with spare parts. But obviously you've got a lot of elite talent in the likes of Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, dare I even say Matt Stafford, Jalen Ramsey, of course.
Donald. Oh, I love Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
You got me on that one.
Lot of O-line deficiencies they're trying to work around this season. They're definitely not as good as the outfit that ultimately won the championship last season. I think the Super Bowl hangover is also very real. Sean McVay went into deep negotiations with some networks to take an analyst position, and that's not a good sign when you think about maybe where his heart and head is really at. That's about all I have to say regarding the Rams, though. Free Cam Akers, I guess.
Okay. So that leaves us to the last team in the NFL.
Wow.
People thought that this team was going to be one of the worst teams in NFL history. It's time to talk about the Seattle Seahawks.
It's time to give Pete Carroll his flowers, isn't it? What a legendary coach. I mean, really, as football fans, what would we think of Pete if he had just given it to Marshawn that one time and Russell Wilson hadn't thrown the ball to Malcolm Butler? Like, I think we'd think a lot differently about Pete. Pretty impressive
He was
resume.
good at USC.
Like, this side of Bill Belichick, they don't get much better than Pete Carroll.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Anyway, the resurgence of Geno Smith, didn't see that coming.
Didn't
Kind of
write
reminds
back.
me of when Teddy Bridgewater got like 5 starts as a backup, and then he was relied upon to be a starter, and it went terribly.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was how it was going to go for Geno, but yeah, he did not write back.
What a stupid team.
Silly, yeah. Like, you'd think that, they should be burned at the stake for picking Kenneth Walker when they're trying to rebuild. Don't pick a running back. And he looks great, and he's leading them to wins, and they lead their super competitive division without Russell Wilson, because who needs a guy like that?
Because Russ was the problem. Because he was doing high knees on the plane.
He was too short. He couldn't see over the lineman. That was the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, that's it. But I guess that's it for this episode of Inside the NFL with Going for Two.
I can't thank you enough for having me on. I've had a blast talking about the league with you this evening.
Yeah, it's a good time. This
I
is
hope
gonna
you
be
appreciated me.
our longest episode ever. But,
Wow. I'm very grateful to be a part of it.
Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
Okay, everyone. Well, that was a pretty long episode. Not gonna lie. I think it may be one of the first times we've gone over 100 minutes. It was fun having people on. Thank y'all for listening. If y'all ever have any suggestions to the show, just reach out to us at Going for Two with Jack Taylor. Actually, at Going for Two. But yeah, that was pretty fun. Can't wait for Jack to be back next week. It's a whole lot easier with him. But let us know if you liked having the guest on and a little bit of like the different stuff we did. So with that being said, thank y'all so much for listening. This was Going for Two with Jack Taylor. I miss Jack. I'm not singing for you, Jack.